start a hurricane season? Check that. We have started a hurricane season. Ready to rock and roll, y'all. We got a big show lined up for you today. We got a lot of ground to cover. Let's get after it. Top stories and trending is where we start. Today is the first day of hurricane season. National Weather Service is predicting a below-average storm season, 8 to 14 named storms. 3 to 6 of them will likely become hurricanes, 1 to 3 major storms. Of course, you know the drill. It only takes one in your backyard to make it a major season. Out in St. Gabriel, looks like ground is broken on the first grocery store in St. Gabriel. Per our news partners at WBRZ, the simplicity of traveling less than 10 minutes to buy something as simple as a fruit or vegetable is something people in the city don't. Our news partners at WBRZ are happy on the pop-up ads these days. Something people in the city don't always have to think about, but for residents of St. Gabriel, getting groceries can be a journey. So they've got a Dollar General out there right now, but there is a supermarket now on the way. 2 people showed up at hospitals with gunshot wounds on Saturday afternoon, though it's unclear if the shootings were connected. Both happened before 6:45 p.m. The individuals arrived at hospitals within minutes of one another. One of the shootings took place at the corner of Plank and Calumet Street. The other happened nearly 3 miles away near the intersection of North Street and North 49th Street. Today is the last day of the legislative session. The House will convene at 9 a.m., the Senate at 9:30. Sine die is required by no later than 6 p.m. Did you know there are 200,000 fewer people on Medicaid today than there were a year ago? Sorry, Louisianans. 200,000 fewer Louisianans right here in our own state than there were a year ago. Tyler Bridges got a great article over at The Advocate noting this accomplishment. As to where those 200,000 went, private insurance or uninsured, Health Secretary Bruce Greenstein said they haven't heard of any increased rates, I should say, in uncompensated care. So are we moving in the right direction? Could this be a really, really pivotal point? We'll keep an eye on it.
Well, a Utah judge is set to decide Monday whether to bar reporters and the public from parts of a key upcoming hearing in the case of the man accused of killing conservative political activist Charlie Kirk. We are talking about Tyler Robinson.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it'll be interesting. I think back to the O.J. Simpson trial and how bananas that got.
Yeah, different kind of beast on that one, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a lot of video footage on this. We got them, I don't know. I still get emotional about it. I was a big Charlie Kirk fan.
Yep. President Trump's name must be removed from the Kennedy Center, according to an order signed Friday by a D.C. district judge.
Yeah.
Oof.
And in response, Trump is basically putting a stop to the renovations on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goodness. It remains to be seen if we'll have a big America 250 celebration in Washington, D.C. After many artists have pulled out from the proposed concert, it's looking like it will either be canceled or will pivot to a huge MAGA rally.
So is nothing apolitical? I mean, can the 250th anniversary of our nation be apolitical, please? I realize you don't like the guy who's in the office right now. I get that. You don't want to see him pull off a huge celebration. Okay, fine. But it's the nation's 250th birthday. Can you put your sword down, sing a couple songs, and be done? Can we not? I mean, can iHeart move their summer festival over there? Can we just do that?
Right.
Can we call it the iHeart 250? That's fine. I'm fine with that. Just everybody put down your sword for one quick second and recognize that this little experiment that we call America has been around for 250 years.
Noting
stupid.
Right. The people pulling out saying they don't want to have any political affiliation. I'm sitting there thinking it's not President Trump's party. It is a celebration of America's 250. Now he is hosting.
Yes, it is. It is President Trump's party in the fact that he's the president right now. He's the one putting the dadgum thing on. He's the one that wants to blow it out the water.
Right.
Which, bigger and better than everything, that's just what he does. And just the mere connection to his name is enough to make people say no.
I get it. Do I like it? No. But I guess I get it. But for once, can we, like you said, put down the sword?
Well, that would be nice. We're at 610 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Tell you what, we got a break coming up. We're going to talk sports on the back end of that break. Give you the rundown real quick on the show. Miss Louisiana Gabrelle McLeod going to join us at 6:25. Just talk about the last year. We're going to have a good 6-7 minutes with her. Gifford Briggs is with the American Petroleum Institute. We're going to talk energy crisis. Yes, we are in an energy crisis. No, it's not like it was in the 70s. Moral Dilemma Monday coming your way at 6:50. In our 7 o'clock hour, Kelly Schultz from New Orleans and Company at 7:05. Let's talk about Sail 250, which I got to go to. And apparently, me and my wife and our son, we waited in the wrong line for the wrong boat. Oh, no. We got to go on 2 boats, and they were beautiful, and they were magnificent. But the boat behind the boat we were on, number one, they were selling rum. And number 2, you got to tour all the inside, all the guts of the boat and everything. I think we kind of missed out on the Sail 250.
Did you get the rum, though?
No.
Dang.
No. Medical Monday coming your way at 7:15. We've got Erin Bendily from the Pelican Institute at 7:35. 8 o'clock hour, we'll have Moon Griffon talking about everything under the sun, and then the BREC Room. 6:11 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. As we take our first break of the show, let me remind you about Landmark Bank, landmarkbankla.com. Landmark Bank, a community bank since 1897. If you want to learn a little bit more about Landmark Bank, I tell you what, hit up landmarkbankla.com. You can read up on their history. Being a community bank for over 100 years, pretty amazing in and of itself. But more than that is the fact that when you find them in your community, what you're going to find is that commitment to the entire region through a number of individual communities. It's actually a pretty cool thing that they're doing over there. Go to the website, landmarkbankla.com, hit the About Us tab, hit the locations and hours on there. Find out if they're in your community, because if they're in your community, you won't just have a bank, you will have a banker. Learn more at landmarkbankla.com. She's here.
Yeah, you cut it off. It said judge. And so I figured that's where you were going with that story. For Charlie Kirk. I'm like,
Yeah, I didn't even need the word judge. I meant to cut off the word judge.
oh, okay. Whoops.
Gabrelle, this is Great Lynn.
Good morning. You're beautiful.
Yeah, have a seat right there. We got one more segment before you. They're in today's folder. No.
Yeah. So for the first 2 weeks, I wore my crown backwards until this one came in. So yes, I get to keep them both.
Oh, good.
616, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. It is sports time right now. Going to start off, obviously, with nobody locally playing left in the, nobody from Baton Rouge left playing in the NCAA baseball tournament, either baseball or softball. We start to pivot our attention a little bit. We'll get back to baseball in a second with the Rougarou, but I do want to pivot our attention to the NFL as the Saints held OTAs last week. A lot of storylines coming out of OTAs. Let's hit up some audio from head coach Kellen Moore, who talked about, first and foremost, this is one of my favorite additions thus far of the offseason is Travis Etienne at the running back position, coming in with, some pretty heavy stats on his back already. What's he looking like? Here's Kellen Moore.
Yeah, Travis done an awesome job. He's been here, each and every day, working his tail off. It's been awesome. Obviously, he's got an acclimation period coming into a new organization, and so that's a part of this. But he's done an excellent job.
4 years in the league thus far, 1,000-yard carrier 3 of those 4 years. Definitely worth noting, and he moves into a New Orleans Saints backfield that is in need of that kind of burst, that kind of juice, if you will. Alvin Kamara, we're always going to love him. He's always going to be one of our all-time favorites, but he is definitely on the decline a little bit. And we don't know what the rest of the backfield looks like just yet, as far as the Saints are concerned. If you're breaking things down, you got a bunch of unanswered questions. There's definitely a lot of potential there, but okay, give it a quick look. Okay, you got Etienne, right? That's a big one. You got Kamara, then you got Devin Neal, who I still believe can turn into something great. He was that late-round pick out of Kansas, showed a little bit of burst last year. Kendre Miller's in there in that mix as well, in the fourth spot or fourth deep on at running back. But you get question marks on top of question marks back there. So Etienne moving into the front of that thing gives you all kinds of room. Now, where you do have a whole lot of depth is over at wide receiver. Kellen Moore talked about that as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Speed's a weapon, and speed allows you to threaten the defense in multiple ways. And I think just the size and the speed combination of some of our skill positions obviously is really valuable. I think for our receivers, there's speed, but there's also size. I think that goes into the run game. Receivers have to block in this league for you to run the football really, really well. And I think you watch when we line up, there's some size there that I think is going to be beneficial for us in the run game. Some guys that we're going to be asked to do some dirty work at times, and then off of that create some great opportunities in the pass game if we can provide that opportunity to assist in the run game.
So talk about that size. I've got one eye on Bryce Lance. He was the late round draft pick out of North Dakota State, Trey Lance's brother. He is running second on the depth chart right now behind Jordan Tyson, the early pick, to be sure. And then you've got Chris Olave, who's also in camp without a new contract, but nonetheless in camp. So keeping an eye on the wide receiver spot. Bryce Lance has definitely gotten my attention, but it's still super duper early. All right, before we get you to the, you know what, let's do this right. Let's stay on time. We'll hit up the Rougarou at a later date as baseball's not done for the summer yet in Baton Rouge. But we're coming up on 620 at Talk 107.3 FM. All right, Miss Louisiana's in the house. Gabrelle McLeod is with us. What does it mean to be Miss Louisiana? How packed of a year has it been? We'll talk with her next. Right now it's 620. All right, so pull this one around. Whoa, there you go. What? Yeah. There you go. We got a quick break. I'll knock out traffic, and then you and I'll just go for about 7 minutes. Easy peasy. westbound. Oh. Do we have... Yeah. Rad Dad. Question for BREC. Was America. Legislative session. Business. Did Demco not? Yeah. You got a bumper and the traffic bed. Kill the bumper. All right. All right, time to head back to the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. Here's what we've got going on to start off your Monday morning. We got delays on I-12 westbound, but not where we normally see them. Normally it's congested around Range Avenue. That's still light right now. However, there was an accident on I-12 westbound near Sherwood Forest. Accident happened about 15 minutes ago. The accident has been cleared. The crash is off the roadway, but we are seeing a lot of congestion as a result. In fact, well, now that I refresh the screen here, you are going to start to slow down way back by Denham Springs. Not stop and go, but definitely slow down way back by Denham Springs. And it will be heavy. You'll be tapping the brakes a lot more than the gas, to be sure, until you get up to Sherwood Forest Boulevard. After that, it picks back up again. A little bit more congestion in between Essen and the 1012 merge. Well, I say Essen. There's no exit right there for Essen. How about in between Drusilla and the 1012 merge? You'll tap the brakes a little bit more. Now, 10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish looks great. 10 through the heart of Baton Rouge in both directions looks great. I-10 eastbound coming back across from West Baton Rouge is good, as is 110. On your surface streets, couple of accidents to look out for real quick. Actually, they're both on Airline Highway. One of them happened about 5:45 this morning. Airline at Highland is an accident being worked by the sheriff's office right now. And then just popping up on the board 3 minutes ago, Airline at Darradell, or Airline at Corsi, let's call it that. Airline at Corsi, you're going to see a stalled vehicle that just stalled out in the roadway. So that's going to cause some delays to jam up your morning as well. That's really good traffic from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. 624, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We got Gabrelle McLeod in with us, but before we get there, I want to remind you about Industry Makes. IndustryMakes.org is the website, IndustryMakes.org, a unified voice for industry in a time and place where there is so much backlash, so many opportunities for folks to just hop up and protest, right? If something's going on up and down the river that we see new jobs coming to town, Louisiana putting the world to work, all the things that make the world run happen right in our own backyard. Well, with Industry Makes, they're a campaign born out of collaboration and a need to present a unified industrial front in the face of coordinated anti-industrial messaging. And Industry Makes, they understand that anti-industrial messages might target one company or another, but they affect the entire industry. We do it better, we do it cleaner, we do it more efficiently than anybody else around the world. We should be proud of that, and we should speak up for that. That's what happens over at IndustryMakes.org. All right. Gabrelle McLeod is with us. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Rise and Shine. I'm doing well.
You are both, you absolutely shining this morning, bringing a complete ray of sunshine into the studio. Glad to have you in here. Let's talk. 1 year as Miss Louisiana. Are you ready to turn things over yet?
Absolutely. I have some things that I'm ready to step forward in as I continue my education. But also, this has probably been the fastest 365 days ever.
I would imagine. Miss Louisiana, just the role keeps you busy. But as I understand it, for the last number of years, our lieutenant governor keeps you busier.
Yes.
I mean, he works y'all. So tell me a little bit about, I tell you what, before we get into the last 365, let's rewind the clock. What got you into wanting to do this? What got you into pageants in the first place?
I'm a student at the University of Louisiana Monroe, and that's where it started. They have a local title there which is also our university's title, and that was the first pageant that I ever competed in.
Really?
Yes, and I just wanted to experience a chance to get more scholarships and just really represent my university on another level. I was already connected in a lot of the community work that they did, but being able to have that title is really what launched me off. And I placed top 5 last year, first chance ever.
Wow.
And everybody said, you have to go back. I had no idea what I was doing. Keep in mind, I did not grow up wearing heels, dresses, or a crown on my head. So
Right.
big change.
What did you grow up doing?
Sports. And
Really?
that's
What sport?
So my first sport and my favorite sport ever to play was soccer.
Okay.
But I also threw discus, and I ran the 4x8 in high school.
Okay. You caught me looking at your arms right there. When you said throw discus, I'm like, look at this. Go ahead.
Yes.
Very, very cool stuff. Gabrelle McLeod's in with us. UL Monroe.
Yes.
Okay, what are you studying?
Kines exercise science.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you plan to stay with that, or is there going to be like an offshoot to that once you're done?
Great offshoot will be getting my master's in athletic training. I want to be on the sidelines.
Very cool.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about the last 365, because you get the title, you get the crown, you get the beautiful, which is picking up all the lights in the studio, by the way. It's fantastic. You get the title, you get the crown. Walk me through what this is like. I mean, you fairs, festivals, openings, everywhere you turn, you get the chance to speak up for not just yourself, not just Louisiana, but UL Monroe and the Miss Louisiana organization as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a part of the Miss America organization itself, you become the state's ambassador, not only just to be an official host for the state, but there's so much you have to do in representing and connecting with each individual that you come across for our state. We do advance to Miss America, so being able to wear Louisiana across my chest for that, I was bringing all of our culture, our talent, and all of our great history that we have to that stage in Florida. But being able to go each and every single day of getting into new communities, getting to see the unrepresented and the unheard, to make sure that what they have going on, that they are being able to have someone to shine a light on them, but connect to them in so many different ways.
We got just a minute and a half left with Gabrelle McLeod, Miss Louisiana. Talk to me a little bit about that experience, because when you literally go from no pageants at all,
Yes.
to top 5 to winning, now you're in the Miss America pageant. How
Yes.
overwhelming is that?
It was a lot of fun. I will say that preparing for Miss Louisiana and all of my coaches and just my family in general, I created a team and a circle to back me up. So I was at true peace at Miss America.
Wow. Okay. I mean, but it's hectic. It's everywhere.
Yes, but I can say Miss Louisiana is probably more compact of a week than Miss America was.
Okay. Looking back, and we got less than a minute to go. I'm going to try and squeeze 2 more questions in. Looking back over the last year, what was your favorite event to attend?
Favorite event would have to be doing the Governor's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports. There is the fitness meet that we have with all of our top 2 children of each of the competing parishes.
Did you participate in that? I mean, I can't imagine you sitting on the sidelines for that. You got in and showed off?
I actually got to do a little bit of some laps with the kids whenever they run the 600. You know, that's a challenging race, but I got in there with them to cheer them on.
Now, last one. How do you have to hand off the torch, hand off the crown, hand off the sash, all of it? What do you do after this to carry on the title that you have into the rest of your life?
Keep staying involved in the priority and my focus that our youth need to be protected, but they need to have someone that's pushing them to go forward. So stay connected with our youth.
Okay, I'm going to squeeze in one more. We're going to blow past ABC News, okay? I'm squeezing in one more. How do you do that? What's your mission on that front?
Getting involved with our education systems and looking at what our physical education coursework is like, so that our children are actually getting true physical activity and getting encouraged to get into athletics. Aside from just a healthy meal, their bodies need that physical challenge as well.
She is Miss Louisiana, Gabrelle McLeod. I can't thank you enough for a couple minutes this morning. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We're at 631 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We're going to go right to local news, traffic, weather. When we come back, Gifford Briggs from the American Petroleum Institute joins us next. God, that was way too fast. I knew you were going to talk about something.
Sorry,
that I
my,
wanted to get into.
sorry,
I
my
couldn't
first
go-
one was long.
No. It's that's what happens in this industry, mate. I'm fascinated by where you want to go with the kids and whatnot. So.
Yes. I grew up in sports, so it kind of just really helped me in so many different ways. A lot of people think that whenever you put your kids in sports, oh, you're like pushing them too hard. But
No.
you have to start them off young with
Yes.
talking to people, knowing how to work with a team, getting that discipline so that when they get to areas of life where they have this come in their avenue, they know how to handle it.
See, Facebook, that's what we're talking about. By the way, look behind you. Wait, yeah, you handed me this earlier this year.
I did. Yes.
No! Yeah, y'all, when we go to the LAB Awards, Gabrelle, or whoever's the reigning Miss Louisiana, hands you the awards and takes the picture and everything.
Incredible.
So.
Aw.
Yes, and those were heavier than I expected.
It's the base. It's all the base.
Yes.
The base is super heavy. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of press. You have a lot of interviews. You have to do a lot of community stuff.
Yes.
They keep you busy.
Yes.
Oh, God.
I always said, though, I would rather be tired from doing something that's making a difference than being tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Great mentality.
Ooh, I like
Great
her.
mentality.
I
Freaking love
know.
So, yes, off days are never off days. I'm always
No.
finding something to do.
Well, yeah, plus a full-time student.
Yes.
You know. All good. You got it?
I got it.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so
No,
much.
thank you. It's a fantastic pleasure meeting you.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Yes. Have a great week.
Thank you, you too.
A cooler. Oh, did you?
I'll send them out. I'll send them. Yeah, you got it.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
thank
took
you.
Plenty. Yes. Yeah, Akola was saying we're fuzzy on YouTube, but we're fine. It sounded like, but he was kind today, so I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'll look at it.
Well, let's see.
It looks good. Look, it looks fine to me.
If I'm talking right here, bum ba da boo boo ba. We got to talk with Gifford Briggs coming up from the American Petroleum Institute. If I'm talking right here, bum ba da boo boo ba. I sound no. Wait, blurry or fuzzy?
He's saying fuzzy.
The audio or video?
The video.
Well, a little bit.
How do I fix that, Brian? Let me see something.
The Zoom might be off by a little bit. I think we're fine.
It's in full high def, 1080p.
Yeah, that's all right. Boy, Moon's timeline is so off on.
We need a fancier camera, Brian. You don't have a topic for lower dilemma, right?
No, I don't. Do you?
Okay, I have two. I have two good ones.
636 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. FlyBTR.com is the website for the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com. Don't forget, we have a daily flight, goes to and from D.C., goes into Reagan National, comes home same day, every single day. Takes off right around 7. Well, actually, this morning's departure scheduled for right at 7 a.m. Takes off at 7 o'clock. Comes back in later on in the evening. FlyBTR.com if you want to check that out. And, of course, it's not too early to start making your plans for LSU football season, as I know Delta has mapped out or built out a number of direct flights specifically for LSU football season. If you're traveling to Tennessee, if you're traveling to Kentucky, those two away games have direct flights built out for them. If you got friends coming in from Clemson, Alabama, or Texas, there's direct flights for those as well. Learn more at FlyBTR.com. So, Strait of Hormuz continues to be a problem. We've seen a little bit of relief at the pumps recently, but we are most certainly within or in an energy crisis. However, bumping around the interwebs last week, I ran across an op-ed, if you will, titled "Why This Energy Crisis Looks Different Than 1973." Gifford Briggs heads up the American Petroleum Institute. He's on with us now. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Good to be on with you today.
Glad to have you back on. Gifford, you been good?
I've been doing very well, despite all the challenges that we are facing in the energy industry right now.
Well, let's talk about a few of those challenges. I mean, everything's going to revolve around the Strait of Hormuz. But why is this energy crisis different than 1973?
Well, I mean, look, we've since the U.S.-Iran conflict began and the strait was closed, we've lost almost 1 billion barrels of production and oil on the market, which is just a huge number. 10% to 15%, depending upon the day of daily production that is being taken off the market. So when you consider 100 million barrels of oil globally that is consumed on a daily basis, 10 to 15 million barrels per day have been taken off. Historically, go back to the 80s or 70s or any time, that kind of disruption would see, cataclysmic energy prices. And certainly we have seen prices increase a little bit, but nothing at the scale of where we would have been. And certainly, we have not seen, just straight gas shortages like, you might expect otherwise.
Right. I mean, in the past, we've seen lines at the pump and whatnot. We've seen gas. We see the yellow bags over the pumps in the past as gas has run out. Gifford, when you say we've lost 1 billion barrels, have we lost them or are we just behind by that? Is this something that's gone for good or can be made up by, I don't want to say flooding the market, but like oversaturating the market once this thing's over with?
Well, I think that, there's some permanent damage to the overall market. So, if you think about all the bombings and the attacks on infrastructure that have taken place, some of the production that was shut in may not ever be able to come back. Some of the pipelines and refineries that have been damaged, they'll be rebuilt, but it's not going to be tomorrow. If we get a ceasefire, it's going to be months or years before that comes back. So we talk about, if the ceasefire happens and the strait opens tomorrow, there's no expectation there's going to be, return to business as usual where we were, 90 days ago. It's going to take some significant time. But fortunately for the U.S., because of, the horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing and the resilience of the American energy industry, we're exporting and producing more energy and oil and natural gas than we ever have before. And that is sort of given us a buffer, at least here in the U.S., to not deal with some of the challenges, especially that we're seeing in our neighbors and allies in Europe are facing.
Let's stick with that. In fact, that's exactly where I wanted to pivot to. We're talking with Gifford Briggs from the American Petroleum Institute. Is that why are we not like 1973 this time around? And that's because we can do a lot more at home. So put some numbers on it. What kind of percentage is affected by what we create domestically?
Well, let's look at natural gas, because obviously for Louisiana, that has been the energy story for the past 2 decades, right? I mean, we were importing natural gas from 2007. We had a 7-year supply of natural gas in our country, and then the Haynesville shale just opens up on the market, and we see incredible investment. Today, Louisiana, is the home of global LNG. We export 25% of the global LNG market. But to put it in something that makes sense to people's pockets, our allies in Europe are paying on average 5 times more for natural gas than we are here in the United States right now. And that is specifically because of horizontal drilling, hydraulic fracturing, and the shale revolution.
The natural gas is a great place to start, but crude is showing the same trend.
Yeah, 100%. The same technologies that unlocked the Haynesville shale have unlocked the Permian Basin in Texas and New Mexico, which is why we were producing 5 million barrels of oil per day back in the early 2000s, and we're producing 13.1 million barrels per day now, which is almost a 3 times increase of where we were, and that's given us the buffer that we have the ability. We're not reliant on OPEC. I mean, it used to be that OPEC says that they were going to increase production by 500,000 barrels, and prices would plummet, right? And that's what happened in the 80s. They don't have the control over the global markets that they once did, and they don't have it because of the shale revolution and our ability to increase production over the past 2 decades here in the United States.
Talk with Gifford Briggs from the American Petroleum Institute about the current energy crisis and the closure of the ongoing, I should say, closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Gifford, you mentioned reliance, but we're not yet to independence. We're kind of in that middle ground right there. We're not 100% reliant, but not 100% independent either. Can we reach 100% independence? Is that even in the cards here, or will we always have some level of keeping one eye open?
Well, I think there'll always be, keeping one eye open. I mean, we are a net exporter of energy, in that we send more energy outside of our country, than we bring in. And that's because we produce so much oil here. But the oil that we produce, the shale oil, is this really high quality crude that our Louisiana refineries were not built to be able to refine and process. So we take that crude and we ship it to allies around the world. They refine it, and we bring those products back. And that's sort of how the balance works. So it is a global market for energy. Obviously, for natural gas, we're able to produce all the natural gas that we need. But when we look at our refined petroleum products, we need to. It's a global market, and we have to use refineries elsewhere to bring the products in to refine the oil that we produce.
You talk about the 2 major innovations that have changed that. The horizontal drilling we've talked about a little bit. The hydraulic fracturing, I believe you mentioned a little while ago. We haven't heard as much backlash on fracking as we have in the past. Is that just a matter of as you let things play out and we watch them happen, that just kind of has gone away, or is it a matter of those who would otherwise protest it have moved on to other things?
I mean, there was it was deemed in 2008 and 2009. I was working up in the Haynesville Shale area in northwest Louisiana quite a bit, and it seemed at that time to be a new technology.
Right.
And while we were professing its safety and our experiences in industry of having used hydraulic fracturing for a long time and the ability to control horizontal drilling, the combination of the two was enough to get people to sort of stoke fear and raise concerns.
Right.
And what the industry has shown over the past 2 decades of deploying this technology is that we have demonstrated that we can do this safely and responsibly. And that is something that, initially we were, drilling laterals or horizontals that were out 500 feet. Now they're doing, 3,000 feet, and it's getting further and further, 15,000-foot laterals. So we're continuing to be able to deploy the technology in new ways, but we're also continuing to do it in a safe and environmentally responsible manner.
We have less than 30 seconds to go. I hate to squeeze one more question in, but I have to Gifford Briggs from the American Petroleum Institute. As far as what we're looking at price-wise right now, how do we compare to Europe?
I mean, as I said on the natural gas side, they are 5 times higher than what we're paying for natural gas right now. And so while prices are higher than certainly we want to be paying it at the pumps right now for oil and certainly for natural gas as well, we're not dealing with the challenges and certainly a supply issue. Jet fuel is a big issue over in Europe, and they're having to cancel flights. We haven't seen those challenges here in the United States yet. Mm-hmm. But the challenge is the longer the disruption goes on, the more of an impact it's going to have globally on the energy market.
He's Gifford Briggs with the American Petroleum Institute. I appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thank you so much.
Yep, happy to do it anytime.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Quick break, coming back with Moral Dilemma Monday next. Okay, what were the two?
Your child gets into their dream college and means $100,000 in debt.
Goodness, do you let them go? Yahoo Finance say families are underestimating the true cost of college. It's more than double $14,000 per year each year, according to a new survey. So there's different articles that back that. Watch, go look.
Okay.
The new federal student loan caps take effect July 1st, limiting how much parents and students can borrow. Washington Post reported that. So there's a lot of articles in a lot of directions we can go with this, but I sent them to you.
Yep, I'm looking at it. I like this. Let's go with this.
The first one?
Yeah. The second one, I'm not very sympathetic to. Like, I'm kind of an asshole.
I have a friend going through that right now. I'm like, because she knew they may call for back yet.
She won?
She still took the job, and I'm like, and she took it in 2019 when they were moving to remote anyways and COVID happened. Now they're trying to bring everybody back in. So you tee it up because I was going to say, because you may want to cite an article.
You know what Donald Trump should do? He should name Michelle Obama the director of America 250. Your party. Throw it. Michelle Obama and George W. Bush.
There we go.
Because that's America's couple right there.
I know. They love each other.
Yeah. I think we just solved a problem. I think we just, like...
I watched the TikToks of them too.
Oh, they're adorable. They are so adorable. It shouldn't be about any, so take yourself out of it. Go back to running the nation. Let them throw the party. Right. And then the July 4th should be like New Year's Eve. You got Ryan Seacrest in New York. You got somebody in New Orleans. You got somebody in Nashville. You got somebody like.
And make it this big Chappelle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Michelle Obama and George W.
Oh. 652 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along, getting a moral dilemma Monday in a quick second. Got to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. In fact, go to the Mathern's Market at Kenilworth Facebook page. You can enter to win you can enter for your chance to win a trip to Let Freedom Sing. This is in Music City. This is in Nashville, the 4th of July. Experience incredible live performances, exclusive fireworks viewing, and one of the country's largest fireworks shows, and a dazzling drone display, along with the Grammy-winning Nashville Symphony. Tickets to, or your chance to win this, is available on Mathern's Market at Kenilworth Facebook page. It's the first post up there when you go there right now for Mathern's at Kenilworth. Time for Moral Dilemma Monday. All right, Bree Lynn, let's tee it up here. Your kids are younger than mine, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Having a conversation with a friend over the weekend. Actually was. It ties in nicely to where we're going here. Conversation with a friend over the weekend who is looking to get his daughter into Vanderbilt.
Oh, God.
When he's in that weird spot where the grades are good, the extracurriculars are good, probably going to get the thumbs up, but not going to get any money.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But it's your baby.
Yeah. So, here comes the question. And we want a lot of feedback on this on our Facebook Live. We know your kids, a lot of y'all in the crew over there on Facebook Live. We're live every day on Facebook, by the way, courtesy of the folks at Lake Urgent Care. You've sent your kids off to college. Let us know. Sound off. What happens if your kid gets accepted to their dream college, but you can't afford it? What do you do? That's our Moral Dilemma Monday this morning. You're talking about like 6 figures, upper 6 figures, well, middle 6 figures worth of debt, right?
Yeah.
4 years minimum worth of tuition that's going to run you a whole bunch, living expenses, your dorm room, your meal plan. It just, when you're talking about running well into the 6 figures in debt, what do you do if your kid gets into their dream college, but you can't pull it, you can't afford it? What are we doing here? So we had a great discussion, and what he's looking at doing is...
I was going to say, what is he leaning toward?
So obviously they're not waiting until they get to the decision. They're exploring their options now. So once they get the yes or the no, they can move very, very quickly. But there's only so much they could do on the student loan front.
Right.
So he's looking at like totally refinancing the house.
Oh my gosh! But it's his baby.
I know.
So
I know. Also, in this particular instance, an only child.
Okay.
So that might change it as well. Because if you're going to think about doing this 3 or 4 times,
because I got 3 boys,
right,
so
right,
that
right.
would be.
You can only refi so many times, right? But this, that part of being an only child didn't come up in our conversation. But he's looking at moving mountains, moving the entire earth, in order to send his baby off to Vandy. So, what would you do?
So I was in a very different situation when I went off to college. My dream school was Florida State.
Okay.
I wanted to go to Florida State. I wanted to be a NOLA so bad. Now, my grades were okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't say they were fantastic. So I would have qualified for no scholarships, nothing. My dad would have just had to pay for it all. He immediately shut me down. He said, no, you're going to have to go to an in-state school. I was the only child. I figured that he would start pulling out all the stops, but he just couldn't afford it. Now, fast forwarding to my little boys, I got 3. So if all 3 decided, which knock on wood, they get into a school like that, Harvard or Yale or Duke.
Yeah.
If they did, I would have to let them go. You know, I would have to. Now, if they chose a school, say like Florida State or Texas A&M, there will be some debate with my husband and I. But if it was a prestige school.
So, yeah, but like a Florida State's probably going to run, I mean, tuition-wise, I'm guessing around $35K a year, maybe 40, plus living expenses. That does start to add up.
Yes.
Plus living expenses start to add up. That's still within the range of what you can borrow within student loans and whatnot. There was a hot minute where we toured Georgetown. Now, this is well before Carrie was zoned in on a school. We toured Georgetown. We were in D.C., so we took it.
I love it.
We went on the campus a little bit. She fell in love with the campus, and then once she realized what the requirements are, like GPA-wise, are like Carrie's no slouch. She's very, very smart. She's also very much like her dad, so she's going to have a low GPA and a high ACT. So, like, no, very much slouch. But like Georgetown would run you $100K a year tuition alone. Vandy, I want to say, was like $75K a year tuition alone. That's what my friend's looking at.
Oh my God.
Yeah, tuition alone.
That's not
before
books.
living.
That's not housing.
No books, no housing, no food, just tuition. We're looking at. I want to say Georgetown was $95,000.
Oh my God.
That's for the year. That's both semesters. But my word, I had Carrie had that 4.0 or 4 point plus. I don't know what I would have done. I really don't know what I would have. I think I would have moved. I would have done everything to move mountains to make it happen. Honestly,
I'm going to say the same. I have 3 boys. I don't just have one. So it's going to get costly, but I think I would try to move mountains too. Yeah. Like they're my babies. Yeah. If they want to go somewhere.
Okay, but you're thinking on an emotional level though. But like, are you going to get the ROI out of that education that you're not going to get out of an in-state education? Are you going to get as much out of that, like versus going to LSU or going to?
I think that's where my husband, he would come in with the, let's think logical here.
Right. Let's look at the chart. Let's look at the chart and say, okay, here's your projected income coming out of that school. Here's your projected income coming out of LSU. Here's where you've got your potential for jobs. And then there's this other part of the whole equation there is, like, even if you move mountains, is the value of that education on the upswing or the downswing?
That's true.
What we're seeing right now is that the higher end schools, and here's the part you can't put an ROI on. Who are they meeting? What networks are they building? What relationships are they building?
That's kind of how I'm looking at it. Like, if I send them to this prestige school or if I send them to an out-of-state school, is who they meet and the connections they make and the sororities they join, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, going to be worth it. It's a very hard decision. I'll tell you on Facebook right now, the Glorified Crew on Facebook, they are leaning toward absolutely not.
See, I knew that was going to be the case. What say you? Let's keep the discussion going as we get in a break. News, traffic, weather coming your way. Hour 2 is up next on Talk 107.3 FM. Kill the mics.
Miss Debbie saying nope. Alan says hell no. Byron has a really good point. Talk 107.3. I looked at it. I don't know what you're seeing on your end. I mean, it does look a little bit blurry on our end, the video feed, but it almost looks like the same on Facebook, and I don't know how to fix that. I know. My dad's the same.
How big's this screen?
How big is your screen, Brian's asking?
So a normal laptop monitor? Let me pull up on mine right quick. Yeah, you're going to get the same definition on Facebook as you are on YouTube because it's the same camera feed.
About 24-inch monitor.
Ooh, fancy.
I know, he said you fancy. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I know
the
when
bigger
it's
the bigger the screen, the more out of focus it's going to.
I wonder if it's the light that's causing the issue. Yeah. Okay, well, let me keep tinkering with it. He just moved a light around.
All that's going to do is make me blind.
I know. Okay, thank you. It's that man. He's like, tell him to sit back down.
Do what?
You look fine to me over here.
So essentially, we're just facilitating him hating us. Awesome.
My younger sister went to UCSD. Still has a $200,000 left to pay on a loan. Still has, yeah, $200,000 left to pay on a loan. Jesus Christ.
UC San Diego? King Triton?
Talk to me 7:30. Hey, yes, ma'am. We'll be coming to you in like 1 minute, okay?
Those asses put the table on top of the garbage can. Huh? .705 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, Breland producing, starting off your second hour at 7 o'clock hour, at 76 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. We got a busy hour this hour, so much so we're going to have to blow out top stories and trending. Of course, top stories and trending brought to you every day by the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Also need to remind you we are broadcasting live from the 180 Pros studio. 180 Pros, not your IT provider, your IT partner. Coming up in our next segment, Our Lady of the Lake going to join us for Medical Monday. We're talking about vaping today. And then at 7:35, the folks from the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry normally join us on Mondays at that time. However, they had to pivot and move to tomorrow, which will be good because we'll get a full recap of the legislative session. Erin Bendily from the Pelican Institute going to join us there. Right now, we also had to pivot here. We got Kelly Schultz from New Orleans and company on with us. Kelly, good morning. Welcome back. How are you?
Hey, Brian. Good morning. How are you?
Doing very well. I get to talk to you in back-to-back weeks. That's amazing.
Yes, it was good to see you last week in person.
Likewise. So I went out there. Looking for the boats, not once but twice, while I was at the Teacher Leader Summit. Happy to report back to you that I did go. I did bring Christy and James. I brought my wife and son out on Saturday. We went down to go see them. Actually got to walk around a couple. One was from Argentina. One was from Chile. And they were, because they were kind of tag teamed, right? You'd get two away from the dock. It was amazing, Kelly. I can't tell you how, there was a wealth of people out there. I was unbelievably humid, and we just had everybody out there all at once. It was really, really something to behold.
It really was. I'm glad you and your family got to experience it. I was also out there yesterday, and it was absolutely packed. There were so many people out there checking out these ships. It was really beautiful. I mean, there were ships here from the U.S. Navy, but also from Argentina, the U.K., Peru, Sweden, the Netherlands, and it was wonderful to see all of the sailors and members of the military out enjoying New Orleans in their crisp, perfect white uniforms, and they were really enjoying the city, so that was fun to see as well.
Okay, so I got to ask this. Did we screw up? Did we screw up by scheduling New Orleans first on the Sail 250 tour? No, I'm being dead serious. I've seen the videos. I've seen the sailors with the 610 stompers. There's no way another city's going to top what we just did.
Well, I would like to say that's true for everything. They're actually leaving this morning. Today is the final day of Sail 250, and they will make their way up to Virginia, and then they'll be in Baltimore, New York, and Boston. Of course, this is all being done because of America's 250th birthday. Mm-hmm. So, yes, we were very honored to be the first city. We hope that we set the bar. I know the other cities will do a fantastic job, but it was, New Orleans is really special, and people connect with the city in a way that I don't think is the same anywhere else.
Yeah, one of the Libertad, I think, was the name of of one of the ones that we were on, and just talking to some of the crew, talking to some of the sailors on there. I just mentioned in passing, hey, enjoy New Orleans while you're here, and it was a very overwhelming. Oh, we will. So, yeah, when you talk about raise the bar, I think there's more than one meaning to the word bar there for sure.
Yes, exactly. No, those individuals were having fun, and we also. I know you were there, and we got a lot of really great press coverage about this event, and it was an opportunity to talk about not only America 250 and why New Orleans is so great at events, but also, why our city is important beyond tourism. When you think about energy and the port and the Mississippi River and how many goods we move through here, it was a nice opportunity to really tout the significance of New Orleans.
Well, talk about that for just a minute, if you would. We'll talk with Kelly Schultz from New Orleans and Company. A Sail 250 is wrapping up today. Talk about that for just a minute, if you could. I know we talk tourism all the time and being built to host, but we've been built to do business. We've been built to do military. We've been built to do everything, and a lot of that stems from that being the port.
Exactly. So Sail 250 was an opportunity to get that message out, and we did with many national media outlets around the city. So if you think about it, the Mississippi River and the port are really foundational to our country's economy and to the supply chain. So, we move massive volumes of grain, energy, steel, chemicals, cargo, all of which feeds global markets and supports national commerce. So we like to say that if New Orleans stops moving, a significant portion of America's economy would slow as well. So this was something that, of course, they are going to experience great culture and cuisine and music when they were here, but it was also an opportunity to really tout the significance of our country from a commerce standpoint as well.
Talk with Kelly Schultz from New Orleans and Company. All right, let's pivot over because when you and I talked last week at the Montreal Convention Center, it was just about time to reveal North America's 50 best.
Yes.
Who made the cut?
We did announce, we hosted North America's 50 best restaurants. That ceremony was held here last week in the midst of Sail 250. We had some of the world's best restaurateurs and chefs and their team in New Orleans. They came from all over the U.S. and Canada and the Caribbean. And I'm very excited to say that of the 50 best restaurants, there were several New Orleans honors. Dakar NOLA came in at number 4 on the list of 50, but they also were named the best restaurant in the southern United States, which is a tremendous honor. Yeah. Emerald's restaurant came in at number 20. Akamaya restaurant came in at number 30, and Emerald Lagasse won the Icon Award. It was a really special night. And again, this is something New Orleans and Company pursued. We wanted to have this event in the city as part of our strategy to really elevate our culinary assets globally, and this was a perfect way to do that.
Akamaya, I don't know if I'm familiar with that one.
It is in the Bywater restaurant. It is. I've been there. It's wonderful. They've won many honors and accolades, and Anna Castro is the chef, and so we were really excited to see them. If you think about all of the restaurants across North America, to be able to be identified as the 50 best. Number 1 on the list, by the way, was a place in Chicago called Smith. But for any of our restaurants to make this prestigious list, it was pretty amazing. Akamaya, Emerald, Dakar, all very, very deserving, and of course Emerald Lagasse. He is an icon, so I'm glad that he was recognized here in New Orleans for this event.
Has he won that before? This feels really overdue.
Well, this 50 Best Awards, this is only the second time it's happened.
Oh,
so last
okay.
year it was held in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, last year it was held in Las Vegas. This year we got it to come to New Orleans, and of course we're going to pursue it again. But I know he has won many, many honors throughout his career, very well deserved. But this was a first for this particular category and this award ceremony.
I mean, if you're Emerald Lagasse winning an award for the first time at this point, it's got to be like, wait, I hadn't gotten this one yet?
No. I'm sure he has many, many honors.
Absolutely.
And he was there, of course, with his son EJ, and all of our restaurant community was together. And again, it was nice to see all of these famous restaurateurs and famous chefs from all over North America. They were here for the ceremony, but, like the Sail 250 members of the military, they were able to get out and enjoy our restaurants, enjoy the city when they were here. So there's a benefit for many years to come.
We got just a couple minutes left with Kelly Schultz from New Orleans and Company. Actually, this kind of pivots us over to Restaurant Week. I love celebrating Restaurant Week in Baton Rouge when it comes around. But New Orleans Restaurant Week is coming up, I believe, next week?
It is next week, June 8th through 14th. This is something that's done by the Greater New Orleans chapter of the Louisiana Restaurant Association, and New Orleans and Company is, of course, a partner in this. So from June 8th through 14th, there are about 78 restaurants that are participating right now, and I'm sure more are going to sign up. But it's a great opportunity to get out and try a favorite restaurant or maybe something that you haven't experienced before. You can get a 2-course lunch for $25, 2-course brunch for $36, a 3-course dinner for $32, or a premium 3-course dinner for $56. So those are pretty good prices, and of course the point is to get people into the restaurants during the summer season and kind of reconnect with our restaurant community if you haven't been to one in a while.
Last one before we get you out of here. I'm always greedy. I know we had what just was, but what's next?
What's next? We've got something called Gumball 3000, which kicks off this week and goes through June 11th. Mm-hmm. And so this is an event of international supercars and superstars, as they say. It is basically 100 specialty cars will participate.
Oh, wow.
And they'll be driven by celebrities, influencers, all kinds of sports stars. It's coming here. It's basically like the biggest and fanciest road trip. So if you're into cars, you'll want to be in New Orleans June 5th through 11th for Gumball 3000.
She is Kelly Schultz with New Orleans and Company. Always appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian.
Absolutely. We're at 7:15 to Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Hey, before we take our next break, let me remind you about 180 Pros. 180pros.com, 180pros.com is the website if you want to check them out online. 180pros.com. What are you going to learn when you get there? Well, you're going to learn about having an IT partner as opposed to having a normal IT provider. Makes all the difference in the world when you can converse back and forth with your IT professional by simply giving them a call at 225-330-2200. Someone on the other end of the line bakes their success off of your success. Keeping your business up and running, keeping your technology up and running, keeping your network up and running, because if you're a small business owner and your network goes down, you're not earning. You're not making money. It's shutting you down. That's what's to be avoided. And oh, by the way, if, God forbid, something does happen, they're here locally. Latest and greatest when it comes to the technology, latest greatest when it comes to the network, latest and greatest when it comes to cybersecurity, but more importantly, they are your partner. Learn more at 180pros.com. Medical Monday's next. You have Medical Monday? They're having so much trouble, like, locking doctors down for new segments. So I'm like, we got it. We got a whole bank of 5 years worth of 6 years worth. Well, I don't want to go back to 2019. I don't want to go back to anything before 2022 because it's all COVID.
Probably all your interviews were COVID.
Oh, she's fantastic. All right, one more follow-up comment on Moral Dilemma Monday. You swing the nut for the big college, you know? It's more ego and bragging rights than it is dollars. Talking about the ROI. I could see that for sure.
When you can get the same education, say, at LSU.
And by the way, if you missed out on Sail 250, we did get to walk around 2 different ships. Oh, good morning, Christy. Welcome in, boo. We got to walk around 2 different ships, the Esmeralda out of Chile and the ARA Libertad out of Argentina, which when you think about those 2 places, that's a long-ass way to get here. That is a trek to get here. So...
It's time for your weekly checkup. This is Medical Monday, presented by Our Lady of the Lake Health.
Yes, it is time for Medical Monday, and this week we're talking about vaping. We welcome in from Our Lady of the Lake, Catherine Templeton. Catherine, welcome aboard. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you, Brian?
Could not be better as we start off the week. So let's talk vaping a little bit. Sold as a cigarette alternative. It's getting to be more and more popular everywhere you turn. I'm seeing more and more people vaping. What is it all about?
So vaping is the act of inhaling a vapor that's created by a battery-powered smoking device. It utilizes cartridges filled with liquid containing nicotine and other chemicals that are heated into the vapor. And unfortunately, we're seeing a lot more of this in youth these days, which is super concerning. And that's kind of the concern of why the addiction becomes so long term. A research back in 2021 told us that 2 million middle schoolers and high schoolers are using e-cigarettes, also known as vaping devices, and 80% are using the flavored vapors. Another reason it's becoming more popular among them.
This vaping was originally sold as like a safer alternative to smoking, but it's really not, is it?
It's not, and that's one of the misconceptions. It's believed to be less harmful. It's also become more appealing because of cost, being a little less pricey than cigarette smoking. It's not a safe alternative. It is a huge misconception. While it is maybe a little less harmful and not contain all of the nitrosamines that tobacco, which is carcinogenic and cancer-causing, that the tobacco from the cigarettes may contain, it still contains lots of chemicals that are harmful, that cause lung damage and tissue damage. Many of these are used in the flavors, in the aromatics, which makes them more popular among our young population.
Is it more popular amongst the young population because of, the flavors, I think, is just, that's an obvious yes. But with the vape going away so quickly, does that make it easier for them to, quote, get away with it?
I do think it does. You know, the lack of the smell of smoke, tobacco smoke having a foul odor, and the vaping does not, is another reason we're seeing the uptick in the youth and in our young adolescent teens.
Yeah.
Because that typically would have deterred many folks from smoking cigarettes. Unfortunately, they're picking up the bad habit of vaping when they originally never would have picked up a cigarette to begin with.
Right. And yeah, between the getting away with it and the flavors, it's such a worse combo. We're talking with Catherine Templeton from Our Lady of the Lake about vaping and why it's growing in popularity. Let's talk about some of those consequences along the way. Let's continue down that path, if you don't mind. Not just with the vaping itself, but like the long-term consequences.
So long-term consequences are still being studied, okay? So vaping's been around, roughly around or a little less than a decade or so. And while long-term consequences might not be totally clear yet, certainly some very imperative short-term consequences have become obvious. And you know, and speaking on the long-term consequences, it still contains nicotine. It still becomes addictive. So is this a gateway to further addictions, such as illicit drug use, especially in our adolescent population? And nicotine in the adolescent also impairs brain development. So that's certainly a concern from a long-term perspective. The chemicals that these vapes contain, lots of propylene glycol, formaldehyde, acrolein. Many of the aromatics have cancer-causing components like polycyclic hydrocarbons, aldehydes, and saccharides, including, some of these are metals. Right. Inhaling metals. None of us would ever think about inhaling metals and that it would be safe. So, short-term consequences, including lung injury, have been seen. In fact, in a study in 2020, the CDC confirmed over 2,800 cases of lung injury contributed to vaping. They studied this and realized that vitamin E acetate is part of that culprit. And of these cases, there were 68 deaths that were directly attributed to this cause.
Is there anything to what you explained how it is just every bit as the potential to be every bit as addictive as cigarettes? Is there anything to the belief that it's even more so because it's so concentrated and hits so fast?
Now, there are some studies that have come out that think, or have given us information that it contains more nicotine than the average traditional cigarette, meaning it can become harder to quit the vaping. Mm-hmm. So as many people may try to use vaping as a segue to smoking cessation of the cigarettes, it's actually not as successful as for some folks as it would be for others, depending on which vapors or chemicals are in the substance they're vaping.
This is Medical Monday, of course, presented by Our Lady of the Lake, and today we are talking about vaping with Catherine Templeton. Catherine, I want to ask about the possibility of adding things in there. This is where it starts to get even more dangerous, is, the vape itself has the flavors added in and other things like that, but the user can be adding to this as well to really ramp things up to a different level of danger.
Absolutely. None of these are regulated by the FDA.
Yeah. So
none of these chemicals at any level are considered safe, or is it being regulated to note, is this a harmful amount or not? Plus, the user and the consumer can be adjusting these and allowing even more intense and concentrated formulas of these chemicals into their body as they are inhaling.
Yeah, and then if you start talking about adding illegal drugs into it as well, you've got a
Correct.
whole new ball game.
Absolutely.
All right, let's stepping away from the kids who are vaping and those who know what they're getting, but they decide to get it anyway. Let's move back over to those who were smokers and then pivoted to the vape because they thought it was an alternative, or a healthier alternative as they wanted to kick cigarettes. What options are out there that Our Lady of the Lake Health offers that can help them through their addiction and hopefully wean off of it?
So, Our Lady of the Lake Health offers a variety of So Our Lady Lake offers a smoking cessation program. It is designed to help patients quit tobacco smoking as well as vaping. It is a program that consists of 5 to 7 sessions. And the first session is fulfilled in person, and it becomes tailored to each individual patient. And after those the first session, you can complete the remaining ones either by televisit or in person. And they utilize smoking cessation medications and individual versus group counseling. So it has it's shown to increase the success rate for smoking cessation in our consumers.
Let's talk about that counseling in for just a little bit, because I think when a lot of folks think about smoking cessation, they don't think about that one-on-one, that just getting verbal and bringing the subconscious to the conscious.
Correct. And anytime we have a coach for a pep talk or for encouragement and kind of, again, tailoring each person's journey to what their pitfalls may be and how to help each patient overcome these. I think that's where the counseling becomes extremely helpful. And again, this can be one-on-one, and it can be in a group format as well.
Yeah, you think about, name an aspect of life where you don't want to coach, right? I mean, folks hire dietitians, they hire personal trainers, they hire financial advisors. Why would this be any different?
And I think this particular, it's a difficult habit to kick. Nicotine is very, very addictive, right? Whereas sometimes it's not just a conscious black or white effort, because there's such a strong hold on the addiction aspect of it. And it's something that our body starts to crave. And that's the downfall of nicotine. And it's not just the nicotine, it's the other chemicals that are added. And especially a lot of our population who may have, pre-existing conditions such as COPD or asthmatics. They have even, more an intense need to stop smoking, yet they are having a difficult time to quit.
No, absolutely. And then you start entering all kinds of other pieces to the factors into the equation there. Last one before we get you out of here, and I greatly, greatly appreciate your time this morning. And
my pleasure.
That is, how can smokers get on the road to recovery with the smoking cessation program that Our Lady of the Lake offers?
Well, first and foremost, it is never too late to quit. And if you would like to learn more about the program and get scheduled for your first session, you can give us a call at 225-757-2455.
757-2455. Of course, that is in the 225 area code. Catherine Templeton, thank you so much for a couple minutes this morning.
Thank you, Brian. My pleasure. You have a great day.
You too. We're at 729 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. I always love reminding you ahead of time when we're going to do something pre-recorded. But yes, that was a pre-recorded interview. We got just a quick minute before we hit news, traffic, and weather at the bottom of the hour. Let me take that minute to remind you about the folks over at ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil, for the last 115 years, have been a part of Louisiana, standing at the intersection of energy and opportunity. Generations of families have built careers here, supported by a culture rooted in safety, innovation, and long-term commitment. Now, when it comes down to it, that part of that future is going to include carbon capture and sequestration. So working in partnership with local leaders and stakeholders, landowners, and first responders, ExxonMobil has set the standard for prioritizing safety, investing for the future, and committing to the communities in which they operate, meaning ours. Now, as we move into the future, ExxonMobil realizes that CCS is not taking away from what they do as a company, but not taking away from what they do in having built Louisiana. That's oil and gas. That's been our bread and butter. But in order to exist in a global world, that's kind of where this is headed. So if you want to learn more about where they're taking it, how they're taking it seriously, where they're pivoting for the global future, visit aboutlaccs.com, aboutlaccs.com. We got news, we got traffic, we got weather, we got Erin Bendily coming up next with the Pelican Institute. Give us a last day preview of the legislative session next. All right. You said Byron said it was like if Christopher Walken grew up in Gretna? Metairie. Actually, east of Causeway, so it's Metairie. That's how hyper-specific that is. Any of y'all watch Euphoria on HBO? Let me know if you do. Oh, we're done with top stories. 736 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Today is the last day of the legislative session. We're going to meet up with Erin Bendily here in 60 seconds. Got to remind you about the folks over at One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website, O-N-E, spell it out, OneBathAndClosets.com, or give them a call, 225-400-8005, 225-400-8005. If you want more than 30 years of expertise and experience going into your bathroom, going into your closet, David Duvall and his team, that's who you need to call. And I can say this with experience because I've done this. Look, my house was built in 1964. So last year, Christy and I decided, hey, let's get each other a new master bathroom for Christmas. And that's what we did. And we called David Duvall at 400-8005. Said, come on out. See what you can do with the space. I mean, he did exactly that. Maximized the space. We had no idea what kind of potential it would have, and we had no idea how pleased we would be with the results. And you can be too. I mean, if you didn't build your home, your bathroom wasn't built for you. Your closets weren't built for you. They can be, though, by calling 400-8005, hitting up David Duvall at One Bath and Closets. Today is the last day of the legislative session. What can we expect in the waning hours, and what did we get out of this session? Erin Bendily with the Pelican Institute joins us now. Erin, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. I'm doing great on this day in particular. It's a great day today. It's the end of a long session.
So can we call out Daniel first? I mean, because he already bolted for the beach. Like, he's gone.
He knows how to do it well, apparently.
I mean, and
I'm a little
look,
jealous.
Well, yes and no, but like, of the three of us, he's probably the pastiest, so he's going to burn quickly, so don't be too jealous. So,
True.
I mean, and hopefully he's listening right now. No, actually, hopefully he's sleeping in, to be sure. All right, can we expect anything on the last day that would be riveting or pivotal or news-breaking?
Well, I think that's the question for today. A lot of the big stuff has already gone through the process. It's been a long session, started March 9th. This is a general session, so what that means for people unfamiliar is that it's a general session. Any bill, pretty much on any topic, can be filed. We have had over 1,800 bills this session, and I counted over 200 resolutions that create new studies, task forces, urging agencies to do various things. And the legislature has covered a lot of topics. You know, usually you can identify a certain theme of just a couple of issues, and we've certainly had some hot button issues this session, but it's kind of been all over the place. So it's going to be interesting to see how they wrap up today and if any surprises await us in these last few hours.
So I'm hesitant to close the book on it because you would think, yes, if there were any surprises, if there were anything of unbelievable import, it would have been done already. But at the same time, though, if there's really nothing left that's going to move the needle, why bother? Why roll it into another week? Why come in on this last day? I mean, just for, procedural things that you're just going to close it out. You mentioned 1,800 bills, more than 200 resolutions moving forward. That's a lot of work getting done. And even if it not all of it was headline driven, it definitely wasn't governor driven this year. So I don't know. I can't close the book until they close the book.
That's exactly right. You never know what could happen until they adjourn and sine die. Bills that previously died in committee or never got a hearing have a way of just suddenly appearing as amendments on other bills or in conference committee reports on things totally unrelated. Someone just texted me a few minutes ago, a brand new resolution on something they were concerned about just showed up in the system today. So they have a way of surprising us, even in these last few hours. I like to tell people this is kind of like the paranoia time. Mm-hmm. You watch everything because you never know when something new and interesting can pop up very suddenly.
Not just pop up, but make its way. I mean, there's a whole process. There's a legislative process that we have to go through, and rules have to be suspended to get things from one side of the building to the other.
Well, yes, but like you just said, there's a way to bypass that. And in these last days of session, what you see is, people may not be paying attention. They may, be having sidebar conversations, and all it takes is one person making a motion on the floor to suspend the rules and bring something to the floor. If, people aren't paying attention or maybe are, and it's just a deal that got made, these things have a way of happening in the last hours.
They absolutely do. Erin Bendily with the Pelican Institute is our guest. Okay, so let's work under the presumption that nothing major, there's going to be no last day surprise. Let's just work with that right now and recap what has happened thus far. From the Pelican Institute's perspective, what has been some of the more weighty, heavy legislation that's passed?
Well, it's a session that's focused on, like I said, a number of different issues. So we started the session with a lot of focus on, PBMs, pharmacy benefit managers, taking a look at the extent to which that is helping to drive more affordable prescriptions, or is it an issue that's making it harder for consumers to get affordable drugs, and what impact does that have on some of their competitors? The PBM issue has been one that's been heavily discussed. We have weighed in just from a free market perspective to say, rather than government getting involved in private businesses and in this industry, again, we bring things back to the importance of, just kind of economics 101 and what drives competition, what keeps prices down, what happens when the government gets involved and sets price controls and things like that. Then, there have been discussions about energy and how do we make sure that we protect our industry that we are bringing into the state from excessive lawsuits and over-regulation, things that on one hand, as we're saying Louisiana is open for business, we shouldn't at the same time be saying, oh, well, you've got to deal with excessive government or the threat of litigation that are going to kill jobs and industry. And then, of course, as we got, kind of closer to the midpoint, there was a Supreme Court ruling on the congressional map. So that has really taken a lot of the legislature's attention and redrawing that map in the middle of this session. And the legislature just got that done last week, giving final approval to those maps. And then, of course, there's always the budget. And there's some things in there that are positive. I think the legislature has tried to hold the line on spending, at least initially, keeping it a standstill budget, but we still see hundreds of millions of dollars being put toward, local projects, non-governmental organizations, things that some people just kind of scratch their head and wonder how are these things statewide priorities, things like beautification projects, gyms, repairing churches, things like that. So, again, a large number of just different miscellaneous issues. And, of course, not being able to fund a teacher pay raise or the school choice Gator program, concerning to a lot of people when they're seeing so much money being spent across the board on different things.
Talk with Erin Bendily from the Pelican Institute. You didn't, in encapsulating all that, did workforce get its due? Workforce issues get their due in this particular session? I know so many headlines got grabbed as soon as the Supreme Court ruled and everything had to pivot over to the maps, but it feels like that ruling just kind of, buried the lead on the things that got done before it.
It did, and there were some good bills that passed on workforce to do good things, making sure that our agencies are working together to really target their efforts where we know that business is growing, where jobs are going to be there, where, we can better train our young people for opportunity. We can make sure that people coming out of our prison system, for example, go into a training program and can get a second chance to get a job where we actually need them rather than making money on the streets again. Lots of good things happening there. But again, at the same time, for all that good, every time the legislature at the same time passes more laws that distort the economy, insert government in the form of setting prices, engaging in protectionism, opening up the threat of lawsuits for companies. I feel like, we still have this problem of figuring out, are we really open for business? Are we going to do the things that are going to bring jobs and opportunity to our state? Or are we also going to tell businesses that we're trying to get to come here, but yet you have to deal with business as usual in the state of Louisiana? Those things are incompatible. That's not going to give us the Louisiana comeback that we so desperately need.
Talk with Erin Bendily from the Pelican Institute, and it's the right topic of conversation for sure, and the right time for this topic of conversation as well, because we often hear about it at the beginning of the legislative session of what can be on the business front and the business climate front, but having the post-mortem on it is a different story because, yeah, we're going to come up short on some things. In previous legislative sessions over the last couple of years, specifically since Governor Landry's taken office, we have seen some movement on that front. It was a little bit less this time around, to be absolutely sure, but did we see any movement at all?
On just,
on
advancing
the business climate front, the legal environment, the quote unquote judicial hellhole front. Did we see any movement at all there?
We saw some movement forward. There was one bill in particular that moved. I believe it was House Bill 804 that got a lot of attention, really shielding our oil and gas industry from future climate lawsuits. That one got a lot of attention over the session, but there was an interesting amendment that was put on at the last minute, just last week, saying, well, but at the same time, let's make sure that nothing along these lines can interfere with current lawsuits that are going through the system. And we know right now that industry right now has just been plagued with over 40 active lawsuits. Yeah. Some of them going back to things that were done decades ago, in support of the federal government. And so, again, a couple of steps forward, but it seems like every time we take a couple of steps forward, we're also taking a couple of steps back.
Does the Pelican Institute really sound off on the congressional maps? Because that doesn't really feel like y'all's milieu too much. But did y'all have any takeaways from what came down on that front?
We didn't really engage directly, although, certainly it's something to watch that affects us all. Obviously it's super important that we have maps that are first and foremost constitutional, right, and do their job in representing the voters of our state. It was very interesting and at times troubling to just watch that process. These are very difficult conversations about how these lines are drawn, along political lines, geographic lines. Is it splitting parishes and communities? And then certainly the racial dynamics of this. It's unfortunate to see how that in the middle of a legislative session also just spills over into just the ability of lawmakers to work together to advance public policy in our state across a number of different issues. It's unfortunate that it just creates a lot of tension and drama and distrust. So I'm happy to see that we are past that, at least for now, in the legislative session. It will likely now move into the court system again, where I understand there are a couple of lawsuits already filed. So definitely not something that is over, something to keep watching.
10 hours and 10 minutes from right now, we'll be done. All right. Oh, at the
That's
most.
right.
At the most. 10 hours and 10 minutes from right now. In the meanwhile, she is Erin
They
Bendily.
always find a way to go to the last minute.
No, I know. And we gotta stay dialed in the whole time. Greatly appreciate a couple minutes this morning. We'll get a full postmortem once they're done. But always appreciate talking to you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Here's your money now. Hey, how's it going? Nice.
I love it. I love it. You rocking it. Yeah. Have a good day.
You too.
Have you started diving into this day yet? There's not usually a whole lot.
That's a decent amount. I got a little bit.
Okay. I have like 4. That's it.
That's all we need. The Rad Dad contest is officially back. Citizens Bank and Trust brings you Dad's favorite gifts ever. A Weber travel grill plus accessories thanks to Goodwood Hardware. A steak dinner from Chris's Specialty Foods and a Manly Bayou bundle from Hawk Soap. All just for showing us your Rad Dad doing dad things. Upload pics now to Talk1073.com. Happy Father's Day from Citizens Bank and Trust and Talk 1073. Thanks again to Erin Bendily from the Pelican Institute for hopping on board. Talk about the legislative session, which, yes, is not over until 6 p.m. today. That being said, though, there's got to be a lot of fatigue. There's got to be a lot that it's just they got to be done. Now, that being said, you don't close the book until the book is closed. That is, I know that sounds like something Yogi Berra would say, but it's true. They got another 10 hours to go over there. Well, I'd say 10 hours. The House will be in at 9 o'clock. Senate will be in at 9:30. And it's just House and Senate. Committee's all done, all through. So it's just everything that's on the floor. And, yeah, rules can be suspended. Things can move through quickly. Jump across the finish line at the last second. Tied onto another bill that you might not have seen happening. A lot can happen on this last day of the session. And, honestly, I'm of the belief that why hold over till Monday? Why hold over till another week? Why not just, sine die on your way out, even if you had to work into Saturday and just close it out with the week? It doesn't look like there's anything hugely pressing that will greatly affect the state. So definitely keeping one eye out for sure. Let's go back to, we talked a little bit with Erin about the congressional map. Our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network talked with Melinda DeLatte, research director for the Public Affairs Research Council, about the map. It has been signed into law. Melinda DeLatte says the new map essentially undoes the work of the legislature in 2024. Now, we all remember Governor Jeff Landry called them into a special session just after taking office to redraw the map to comply with a judge's order to create a second majority black district. Cut 13.
They've gone back to a 6th district that looks similar to the one that had previously been held by Garrett Graves, who chose not to run when they redrew the map in 2024.
And so many of us still wishing he would have. Oh, by the way, I mean, the numbers weren't there with the way the map looked, but when you look at the way the election turned out and how close Elbert Guillory got to challenge, like a real challenge, pushing to a runoff for Cleo Fields, when you look at how that actually played out in real life, boy, I'd like a do-over, please. DeLatte says now that the map has been signed into law, the next stop will likely once again be the court system. Cut 14.
Everyone on both sides of the debate is very confident there will be another round of litigation over whether or not this map stands.
And that is a huge question, because it's going to depend on how quickly it can move through the court system once the lawsuits are had, as to whether or not we're dealing with another unconstitutional map. And then what do? We already postponed elections so as to not have an election over an unconstitutional seat. But if you've got another map that's in question along the way up the chain of command of, from court to appeals court or district court, or, as it makes its way up the ladder towards what's going to probably be another Supreme Court case, what do you do in November when it comes time to hold elections, if this thing is jammed up in the courtroom? DeLatte says a fair congressional map is something that pretty much nobody at the Capitol can agree on. And I'm with her. I'm with her completely, because we've talked about this ad nauseum with Congressman Troy Carter. Probably going to talk about it again tomorrow. The requirements of the Voting Rights Act fly in the face of the requirements of what is an otherwise constitutional district.
Everybody has been focused on this map and has had disagreements over this map, and those disagreements over redistricting always end up in court.
And we're going to get it done just in time to have to redo it again when the 2030 census comes out. I mean, you think about that. We're in 2026 right now. We're closer to the next census than the last census. So we're going to have to start from scratch in 4 years. Nailed it. All I was going to say was hour 3 is next. Nailed it. I'll take it. Yeah, let's go, hard clock. Shut my ass down. I'm here for it. Keep my ass in time. I don't care. Okay. All right, then. Bum, 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 ba-dum. 806. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, Breland producing. Starting off the third hour, starting off the 8 o'clock hour at 80 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. We broadcast live from the 180 Pros studio. We got Moon Griffon talking everything under the sun in our next segment. Honestly, my first question to him, and I already know the answer, my first question to him is going to be, were you a little bit underwhelmed by this legislative session? And the second question is going to be the same question I led with for Erin in our last hour was, are you expecting a last-minute surprise? We'll chat with Moon coming up. And then we got the BREC Room coming your way. Oh, my goodness gracious. You know what? We got a lot to talk about with BREC on the front, on multiple different fronts, not the least of which we want to talk a little bit about the latest audit that came out. Kind of clean on that front, right? Got to appreciate that. That's movement in the right direction. I want to talk a little bit about leadership transition as there's a new director that's expected to be in very soon. But also coming up on June, I want to say 27th?
27th.
So 27th. We've got an election here in Louisiana. And BREC will be on the ballot. So we'll talk about all those things and a whole lot more when the BREC Room kicks off. Right now, though, actually, you know what? Before we get you to this day in history, do need to remind you about America 250. This year is, of course, our nation's 250th birthday. And we want you to be part of it. Open the Talk 107.3 mobile app powered by Lake Urgent Care. Click the microphone icon and send us a voicemail answering one simple question. What does America mean to you? Your story could inspire others and be featured on air as we honor this historic milestone together. Keep it short, 15 to 20 seconds, and give us your name and where you're calling from. Send us your audio today and let your voice be part of the celebration of America 250. All right, time for this day in history. Let's roll. Boo-dee-doo-doo-doo.
All right, back in the year 1774, the Boston Port Act. Following the passage of the act, the British government orders the Port of Boston closed to punish the colonists for partying way too dang much for the Boston Tea Party.
All right.
And it eventually fuels us into the American Revolution. It kind of sets the stage for the American Revolution.
You don't just shut down the Boston Harbor. You don't do that. No, you can't do that. That's not cool. Not cool, Brits.
1812, President James Madison asked Congress for a declaration of war against Great Britain, leading to the War of 1812.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotta love that.
All the wars, all the shutting down on this day.
Sure.
What else you got early on?
Early on, nothing. Nothing. I mean, I don't have anything till the 1900s.
Okay, so in 1980, which it came up in my This Day on Friday, but it's worth mentioning again, and I triple-checked. Today is the accurate day. CNN launched as the world's first 24-hour television news channel.
That's correct.
The first broadcast began at 6 p.m. Eastern Time with anchor David Walker.
I love that for so many reasons. Number one, it used to actually be a news network. Used to be. Number two, they flipped the switch at 6 p.m.
Right.
Random. But when you think about it,
who decided that?
That's when everybody else is doing news.
That's true.
Everyone goes to their 5 p.m., like locally 5 p.m. newscast, right? And that's when everybody else goes to their newscast, so why not? Why not? I'm here for it.
Pretty cool.
Now, that being said, though, hindsight's 20/20. If you could go back in time and eliminate the possibility for a 24-hour news network, would you?
No.
No?
No.
No?
Because
We had the capability for breaking news anytime. Every one of the major networks has the capability to break in and tell you that President Kennedy has been assassinated. In 1963, we had that ability. We had the ability in 1980 to tell you that Ronald Reagan had been shot. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, that Gumby had been shot.
Gumby.
Remember when SNL did the parody of Ronald Reagan?
I
love you.
I think I think I would still go back in time because it's something to watch 24 hours. There's always something to talk about with the news.
It was the first major stone in building the 24-hour news cycle that we have in everyone's around the clock all the time. The internet was going to get there eventually anyway, but we are so hyper dialed in. And look at what happens when you turn on cable news. Everything is breaking. There's over-the-shoulders, there's chyrons, there's graphics, there's everything going on. And everything is more important now than ever. No matter what, you can't, don't look away. It's all breaking, and it's all the utmost important, and it's all why I need to hate my neighbor.
Very true. In 1985, The Goonies premiered in theaters. The adventure film remains popular more than 40 years later.
Darn right it does.
What else you got?
It's our time. Down here. This is our time. You know what? 40 years ago today, LSU won their first College World Series game.
Oh.
They beat Maine 8-4.
Awesome. Yeah. Love it.
How about that?
Birthdays: Marilyn Monroe, Morgan Freeman, Ronnie Dunn from Brooks and Dunn, Heidi Klum, Alanis Morissette, Amy Schumer, and Tom Holland, best known for his role in Spider-Man Marvel films.
I forgot one. This day in 2009, Conan O'Brien took over the Tonight Show.
Oh.
Yeah. And
all right.
I will never forget when I'm going to butcher the joke, but it was so good. Then Jay Leno came back, right?
Yes.
And Conan got moved around, ended up on TBS, also owned by Ted Turner, who owns CNN.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Oh, I got to remember the right wording. If I don't remember the right wording, I'm going to butcher the joke. But Conan O'Brien said once he launched on TBS, he says, "You know what, America, you could do anything you want to do, unless Jay Leno wants to do it too." Such a biting line. All right, birthdays you had. You mentioned. Run the birthdays again.
Okay, Marilyn Monroe, Morgan Freeman, Ronnie Dunn from Brooks and Dunn, Heidi Klum, Alanis Morissette, Amy Schumer, Tom Holland, best known for Spider-Man, Brandy Carlisle, and Andy Griffin.
David Berkowitz.
Okay.
Can't leave out the Son of Sam.
Let's see.
Can't.
Nope.
All right.
Notable deaths: Helen Keller. I can never say that perfume. Yves Saint Laurent.
Fine.
He passed away on this day in history. I hope I said it right.
Close enough. We all got it. And Curly Lambeau died on this day in 1965.
National Day today. National Dinosaur Day, Brian.
Sure, why not? I've got World Milk Day.
I like milk better.
Do you?
Yeah, let's go with that.
All right, we'll go with the World Milk Day. It's 8:13 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Moon Griffon's coming up in just a second. Got to remind you about the folks over at Guarantee Health Solutions. Love the partnership with Guarantee Health Solutions, because I love when you can take healthcare and make it more hospitable. And that's exactly what they're doing. Building your business. If you're in the medical field, if you own or run any type of medical clinic, from an urgent care to a dentist's office to wherever you're at, specialty, primary care, whatever. Building your business through better hospitality is what they're all about. It's a 4-pillar program that was born out of experience, a very transactional experience. How's your bedside manner? How's your relationship with your patients? And can you take that relationship with your patients to a level where it's bringing in more patients? Just by having bedside manner, by treating your patients all the better. Learn more at guaranteehealth.com, guaranteehealth.com. Oh.
Renee said it caused a lot of it over-exaggeration of the stories just to kill time.
Yeah. In order to garner eyeballs. If you tune away, you're going to die. No, legitimately, if you turn off the station, if you turn off Sean Hannity, you're dead. That's how the terrorists win, damn it. Oh, you know who died today? June 1st, 1980? A.C. Nielsen. As in the Nielsen ratings. It's very, very low on the charts.
I know, but still.
He wasn't rated very high.
Us radio nerds.
Hang it up. (8:18) Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Let me take a quick moment to remind you about the folks over at Neurojust. Neurojust.com. You spell out on Neurojust. Neurojust. Neurojust.com is the website if you want to get a hold of them. If you or someone you know or love is battling with anxiety or depression, which can manifest itself in so many different ways, just a general malaise. We often misconstrue depression with sadness, but there's just so many different ways. Isolation, just that loneliness feeling, that blocked off from the rest of the world feeling. It just, when it manifests itself like that, and it can be a current day response to a childhood trauma. That's often the case. We learn so much more every time our good friends from Neurojust pop on the show about anxiety or depression. But what we do know is that it's exhausting, and it's a battle, and it leads to sleeplessness, and it leads to brain fog, and it leads to distance in your relationships and just the way you view the world. You can change that with TMS therapy, stands for transcranial magnetic stimulation. It's like physical therapy for your brain, and insurance will pick up the tab. Learn more at neurojust.com. All right, today is the last day of the legislative session. We got Moon Griffon on the hotline right now. Moon, how are you, man?
Man, Brian, despite me, I'm hanging in there, bro.
Are you worried about anything popping up in the last minute that's going to cross the finish line while nobody's looking?
Well, I used to, and I don't anymore because you can guarantee it will. Now, the problem is you never know what it is at the last second because, Brian, this is no cut, and it may be the process, but they take a lot of time off during the session.
Yeah.
This is an 85-day session. I think I'm right about that. And if you go back and look at time off, they probably were there 45 days. I'm not saying they're not working. I'm just saying it's the capital. So you get down to the end, you're going to hear things like, well, we didn't have enough time. Well, that's not true. You had plenty of time to do it. You just didn't take care of your business. And that happens every session. I'm not making it up. I don't have to wait to see if it's going to happen. It's going to happen. There are bills that they'll kill, bills they'll say they didn't have enough time for. And so it's kind of comical at the end. It's a big rush at the end. And Stevie Ferguson told me a long time ago, who was in the legislature as an attorney. He said, you're going to know what happens in the legislature, but you might be August to September finding out exactly what happens. There's just no way with that many bills moving and that many people to figure out everything that's done, good or bad, for probably a month or two after that.
No, absolutely. Well, so some bills take effect the moment they're signed. Some bills take effect August 1st, after the session's over with, and some bills take until the next year rolls in before they kick in. But a lot of them, that August 1st date is one where it really does, peel back the curtain a little bit and say, okay, this got done. You might not have noticed it at the time because 1,800 bills were filed for this, or more than 1,800 bills were filed for this legislative session. And that's not counting the R's and the CRs, right? The resolutions and the concurrent resolutions. When you add all those into it, there's so many different moving parts going on at the same time. It's physically impossible to see them all happen.
No, yeah, it is, and so that's why I'm giving a little leeway here because I understand it's a process. But I hate when good bills that, in my mind, good bills never make it through the system, and like they maybe get killed by just not coming through a Senate committee or not going through a Senate. But Brian, that's really controlled and I know people can say the governor, and I'll say that is true, but that's controlled by your president of the Senate and your Speaker of the House. So they don't want to hear bills they don't hear. Just like all the stuff with CCS, you follow this stuff. Me and you kind of in different camps on this. But me and you could talk about it because we're trying to be realistic here.
Right.
But I told some friends of mine that every CCS bill that needs to be beat by the CCS industry, and everyone they want to pass or everyone they want to kill because of the money, because of the lobbying, they will win. My friend called me the other day and said, "You're right, we won. There was somebody for it." I said, "I got to tell y'all, money talks, everything else won't." And that's just the way it is. It is probably like that in Alabama and Mississippi and other places as well.
You say you and I are on opposite sides of this. I'm of the belief that they won in spite of all the money coming in trying to kill them. I mean, because there was plenty going around.
They got some of the finest lobbyists you've ever seen in your life, and they know what they're doing. But big money. All I was making a point was the biggest money in this, the biggest beneficiary of the money, won. And if you look at that, trial lawyers win a lot because they put a lot of money into the legislative section. So when they want stuff killed, I'm not going to say you don't win every battle,
right?
But I bet you both sides feel like they won the war. But we didn't do anything on insurance that made any difference. We didn't even try to come back.
No, insurance, this was a waste of a few months. When it comes to insurance and legal
Brian,
reform, this is a total waste.
The big thing that they got done was the congressional map. Now, let me just tell you this. And by the way, don't fuss at me.
Okay.
There's some people out there believe this is a racially gerrymandered map, and I'm thinking lawsuits are coming. Now, the courts may end up making this map whatever they want it to be if the lawsuits start again, but they think it's racially gerrymandered for Troy Carter now. And I'm not bright enough to know, but I'm telling you, there's some people out there talking about suing as soon as the governor signs the map in the law. So I'm not saying we won't have a congressional map. I'm saying, hold up this second. It might not. Whatever map they come up with might go one more term, and they might have a new one again because there are more lawsuits to come.
I don't have it in me to break. I don't have it to break down the Congress. Well, no, because I'm of the belief that Troy Carter's district can look gerrymandered because it runs up the river, but it is both contiguous and does have shared interest within the river. Like it's not compact, but it is contiguous and has shared interest because of the river, and it does meet the requirements of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. So, or at least lends towards the 65 Voting Rights Act. You got to have another district to meet that requirement overall, but it does check the boxes for what is constitutional.
Yeah. Well, Brian, the last time race was mentioned the whole time, so it kind of made it an easy thing. Race was not mentioned at all this time.
Right.
So
no, but it's weird, though, because they mentioned party. Like, they broke it down based off of party. Moon, there are so many different things that we can have in common or not have in common to create a congressional map. I mean, breaking things down by party seems as arbitrary as breaking things down by whether or not you want tomatoes in your gumbo.
I get that, but the only thing that can't be a criteria is race.
Right.
Give you an example. I saw Senator Jay Morris said he was one of the authors, I think, of this bill, of the map. And they asked him, they said, no, he said, we won, Republicans won, and we based this based on Republicans and Democrats. Right. And we since we in charge, we're going to put as many Republican districts as we can. Well, that's legal. That's what politics is. This whole thing is political. But you never heard the word race, minorities, and none of that come out of anybody's mouth this time. And so I think what happens is, I think we'll vote in this district. I'm just telling you that I'm not sitting here telling you it won't change again in 2 years. We need to get a district and move on. I think me and you agree with that.
No, completely. Because every time we flip it over, we lose seniority up in Washington, D.C. Mm. And we're already about to lose seniority on the Senate side. But we have the seniority on the House side. We got all the muscle on the House side right now, which I love. But, even if you're losing one term's worth of seniority, you are losing some level of seniority. If we had not jacked with the maps in the first place, we would have the Speaker of the House. We would have Steve Scalise in his place as well, heading up the party. And then we would have Garrett Graves heading up transportation. Could you imagine? We would actually have a bridge if we had the head of transportation right now.
By the way, you would have a heck of a lot better chance of having a bridge. But listen, the 2022 map that we never defended, which Graves would have stayed with the 2022 map, that would have been the best map to just stick with, and we never fought for it.
Right.
We never fought for it. And that's always going to be my frustration. Look, Liz and Jeff know I've been on them rear end about it because I still think that we should have fought for the map we had and never drew another one. And they convinced some kind of order was out there, and it's not an order. And I looked at it, I heard, when they went to the Supreme Court, when they changed their mind, Clarence Thomas asked whoever the lawyer was, so you're telling me y'all did not get a court order? And they said, no, we didn't. And that's in the records at the Supreme Court.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's fine. And your frustration is the same one as mine. I want this over with so we can move on.
Same. Because even when we move on, Moon, we're 3.5 years away from a census. No matter what happens with this map and whatever the court does within 2 years, we're 2 years from that going to have to redo it anyway from national reapportionment.
Well, you're going to do it in 30, and then in 31, then you have 30. The 32 election will be affected by the next census. Am I right by saying that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's, by the way, Brian, and you and I didn't live long enough to know that's a blink.
No, I know.
Nothing but a blink.
No, totally. Hey, we got 2 minutes left, Moon. I want to go back up to the top of the page when we talk about running out of time in the session, because you and I are probably going to be on different pages with this. When they do call it, they run a Monday through Wednesday for the first, couple weeks of the session, first month or so of the session. But the longer you keep them here in Baton Rouge, the fewer occupations can actually run for office. This is in its core a part-time job. And they know it's a part-time job when they take it, but they know what the job requires when they take it as well. But the more you keep them in Baton Rouge, the less you keep them away. The more you keep them in Baton Rouge, the less they're at their normal business. So what's the solution towards getting things done? Because I don't want my entire legislature full of lawyers who could just push pause on everything.
Brian, you know what I would like to see them do, and I hate to mention Texas because I know we do that too much, and I'm going to be the first one. I'm the most guilty of all. They meet every other year.
Yup.
And if you meet every other year, that means you got 2 years to prepare going to the legislature with your business and everything.
Yeah.
You don't have to meet any more days, but you ought to have to deal just with the things that are important. If you met every other 2 years and they got their same pay, whatever that is, it really comes out to about $35,000 to $40,000 a year. But it doesn't matter. The base is $16,800. But if you make the base, if you make your pay and you still get paid the next year, whether you're in session or not, you still have constituency work. You know that, and I know that. They still have work to do. I would like to see them go to every other year. And then that way, when you get something done, you got to deal with the serious stuff.
Also, to go along with that, I would add in, take all the stuff off the table. This involves a constitutional convention, but take all the stuff off the table that involves local issues. We have far too many local issues eat up time within a statewide legislative session.
Yeah, no argument there. But, Brian, that's we for some stupid reason, back in the day, we wanted the governor and the government and the state government to be boss of everything. So you put all that in the Constitution, and that's the problem with it. You got to get it back out.
Yep.
And, a lot of people want to have a constitutional convention. I've always been against them. I'm open-minded. I'll listen, but I want to know what we're going to do.
Same. I haven't always been against them, but I do know what they want to do as well. Coming up 9 to noon, you got Moon Griffon here and statewide. You going to be in town tomorrow?
Yes, I am coming tomorrow. I'm going to see y'all. I need to check with Kate or y'all about a producer. Other than that, I'm coming.
We got you covered, brother. We'll see you then.
All right,
Moon
Brian.
Griffon,
Thank you, man.
always. Here's news. I got all my live reads done on a Monday. That's discipline right there. What's Katrina's last name?
Ward. Or Coops. Yeah.
Ward. Yes. Okay. So, do you want her before or after the break at 49? Let me re-ask. How much time do you want to talk about the BREC being on the ballot? Do we want?
Oh, just the last. Like we'll put that on the end, right?
Yeah.
On the end. But Janet, what do you think?
Well, we want to talk about it, so we do want to talk about it.
Okay.
Talking about the financials first, right?
Yeah, we said financials first.
Audit.
What's Katrina's title?
Director of Recreation.
She got promoted since I left.
Yeah, so we said segment 1 finance, segment 2 big picture leadership transition, segment 3 summertime's here, and then segment 4 is on the ballot. So I would say what, a good 5 minutes on the back end?
Yeah, don't spend much time on the leadership yet because we still don't have a signed contract.
Okay, so we want her before Your Money Now in traffic.
Yes.
That way, when we come back at 52, it'll be 8 minutes on.
We can fill it all in.
on the ballot. Okay. Perfect.
Because we really want to talk about just in case. You like that music?
We can also talk about. We can also. 8:35 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. In fact, now is time where we hand off to the folks from BREC. As we do every week, we got Janet Simmons and Maurice Velasquez in with us. How y'all doing this morning? Whoop, sorry, Maurice. I left that microphone. We get it off camera when nobody's on it, so it gets pushed off to the side right there.
Good.
Sorry
We're
about that.
doing great.
Very good.
Glad
How
to
are
have
you
you. I'm
this morning?
super this morning. Got a restful weekend for a change. It's amazing.
Yeah,
No
it's beautiful,
basketball to
beautiful
go to. It was awesome. So much to cover this morning. But there's no way. I know there's potentially new leadership on the. There is new leadership on the way.
Yes, there's new leadership on the way.
I know that's all in the works, but considering where BREC was when y'all rolled in, there's no way I don't start with the most recent audit.
Of course.
So start with the most recent audit.
Okay, so we completed the last audit was 2024, and that got turned in. Now the legislative auditor didn't report it for a while, so it's been turned in for a while. They just reported it last week, and the reason was because they wanted to really evaluate what came out of the audit. And what came out of it was that we went from 18 findings down to 8, and the 8 that we got were findings that we couldn't have done anything about it because we didn't know about them at the time because of the delayed audit.
Sure.
So now those 8 findings should be reduced even more this year.
Let's rewind the clock because this isn't the first audit like y'all have had
We've
to submit
done 4
afterwards.
audits.
Right. Go ahead.
In the past 18 months.
4 audits in the past 18 months. Now,
Right.
normally you would think you turn in an audit at the end of the year, right? And that's the way it's supposed to be?
Well, usually it gets turned in by June 30th.
June 30th. Okay, so the 2025 one,
Will
we're
be
now officially on time.
On time.
Okay.
Yep.
So go back towards to walk us through those, and I'm not going to nitpick the last 4 audits, but we did see a progression of, as things were discovered, things were corrected.
Correct. And part of the issue was that we had a new software that was installed in 2021 that it took some time for all the departments to get used to using it and whatnot. And so we're really catching up on that now even more. There were no misappropriations of funds found in the 2024 audit. We completed all of the bank reconciliations, which is huge because you have to keep your bank statements reconciled, right?
Of course.
And that was something that had not been being done. So we're up to date on that now. We have no fraud, which is great. And we are finally going to be able to produce balance sheets. So all of that is really good news for everybody across the board.
Let's stick with the no misappropriation of funds in the 2024 audit. Was there anything in 2023, 2022, any of the previous ones?
In one of the previous years, there was they found some kind of fraud that some employees had done. Like either theft of equipment or something like that.
Improper use of P cards.
Improper use of P cards.
Okay.
Thanks. I forgot about that.
But now that's one of the instances.
And that's one of the things too. We had 200 and something, like over 250 P cards, which are purchase cards, and now we're down to 60, and we're going to be even going less than that.
Wow. Okay, that is.
So that's employees that have the access.
Trying to tighten up.
Building out safeguards is important, but building out safeguards while not increasing bureaucracy is difficult.
Very.
Yes.
So, talk to me a little bit about some of the other safeguards that have been built out.
Well, part of that is just being able to run our financials properly. So we're working on that. We had 16 bank accounts when we first came in. We're trying to reduce that down to a number that we can manage much better. A lot of it had to do with where the money comes from, and what tax millage it comes from, and those kinds of things. So we're just trying to really tighten up everything. We're having weekly meetings with the finance team to make sure that we're all on the same page. We're making sure that we're transitioning everything into the new software so that everything is at one place rather than multiple locations. So it's really made a big difference.
Another one of the safeguards is bringing in the budgeting conversation and finance earlier in project management. Instead of just giving projected, that new ballpark or that new complex, that new building is going to be $3 million, $4 million. No, let's go ahead and come in earlier in the process and let's have a detailed discussion as to what the total build out's going to be, where are we getting money from, what portion are we going to use from what funds, and let's go ahead and make those decisions up front and lock it into the project management. Tends to be a little bit of the other way, or has been. So
a cleaning up and a catching up on the audits goes a long way towards rebuilding the public trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
And believe me, all these questions are setting up for a later segment before we get y'all out of here today. But talk to me a little bit about that public trust. If there's anybody out there that, as the audits get caught up, that still isn't on board with BREC being, good stewards of our dollars, or at least proper stewards of our dollars, what's the response to them now that everything's back up to speed?
Well, if they have any questions, they can certainly reach out to us. But our books are open. We have, anybody that wants to look at our books has the opportunity to do that. One other thing that we've done more recently, so that you can go and look for yourselves, you can go on BREC.org and go to our finance page, and you can find all of that there. You can find our budget, you can find our audit, all of the financials are there, so that we're not hiding anything from anybody.
And it's become a consistent conversation at the public meeting with the commissioners every fourth Thursday. So therefore, they're holding us accountable. We're bringing the information. We're bringing in the reports. We're posting them on the website, again, to just show that, look, they got nothing to hide. Here's the good. Here's the progress. Here's the bad. Here's the ugly.
We're talking with Maurice Velasquez and Janet Simmons, the BREC Room, as we call it. We're going to keep it moving here. Summertime is here. That's coming up in just a little bit. Before we get there, though, there has been all other news, talking about new leadership coming in. What's the latest? Where are we?
Yeah, I think hopefully this week we'll have everything paperwork signed. The commissioners and the new superintendent have been, I guess you can say, final detail. The devil's in the detail in the contract negotiating, so they're still in the process. We anticipate that
this week.
It looks like this week they should be able to wrap it up.
So how does y'all's role evolve through this? I mean, you've got to hold some hands and give directions from park to park.
Transition.
Yeah,
yeah. We're trying. We plan on staying on during the transition time for about 3 months.
Okay.
And that way we can introduce any of the things that we've discovered to the new leadership, and then we can also slowly make that transition so that it's seamless and make sure that things continue to work in the positive direction.
Now, in the short time since y'all have been in, though, y'all have come in as change agents.
Primarily change
agents to point BREC in a new direction.
Correct.
So how do we maintain that integrity of the new direction?
Well, that's part of what we're doing with the 3 months transition period.
Okay.
Introducing the way that we do things. I know that he's going to have his own way of doing things as well.
Absolutely.
But making sure that the work that we've done isn't undone.
A lot of what we have done is best business practices. So
right.
it's not things that would make somebody go, oh, that's good, but man, never heard of that. Scorecards, rhythm meetings, agendas, nodes, budgets. Things clarified org charts, restructuring departments.
Right.
More clear roles, better interaction and collaboration between departments. All those things we were assigned to do coming in so that the new administration or the long-term administration didn't have to spend so much time rebuilding as much as building upon.
Okay.
So what's been really encouraging is that during the interview cycle, as we talked to different superintendent candidates, it was good that when we shared with them what we were doing, they were like, good, I'm glad you guys have gotten that done. Right. Now I can come in and build upon that. So all of them, especially the top candidates, we had those conversations, and they were very glad that a lot of the what we'd call standardization was begun.
Yeah.
So that they would just come in here and make it better.
Very cool
There were
stuff.
a lot of non-standard operating procedures, like they didn't have it in writing, and so if somebody were to come into that department, it would have been very difficult for them to do that. So we've been working on getting.
I guess
those
to use an
standardized.
analogy, we have helped to till the ground.
Okay.
And now the farmer can come in and plant. You know what I'm saying? So instead of having to have the new administration come in and do everything, our job was to till the ground, get things up and going, nurture it, get it up. And
We got Maurice Velasquez and Janet Simmons in with us from BREC, but on the hotline right now, summertime is here. Katrina Ward is the Director of Recreation with BREC. Summertime, it means, well, honestly, getting wet. Liberty Lagoon, swimming pools all over the place. Katrina, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Doing very well. Let's start off with Liberty Lagoon. We saw the grand reopening and whatnot is open for the season. Tell me all about it.
Oh, my goodness. There's so many new things at Liberty Lagoon. The slides have been refurbished. The flow rider is up and running. We have worked with SELA, our management organization, and we have a brand new concession stands going with Alligator Alley. Open Monday, Thursday, and Friday, starting at noon. On the weekend, starting at noon this weekend. It was at maximum capacity both days. Good thing is you can go on the website, libertylagoon.com, and you can check the status to see if we're at capacity, to see what the waiting line looks like. And best thing to do is to reserve your ticket 24 hours in advance. So you can purchase your ticket online, reserve your spot, and then walk straight in. Swimming pools. We have all of our pools, City Brook, Annecy Jordan, and Howe is going to be open for our swim lessons only this summer. There's opportunities during the week, Monday through Friday and Saturday and Sunday at noon to go cool off in one of our pools. And then let's not forget all 7 of our splash pads that are open sun up to sundown throughout the parish, from Highland Road all the way to Zachary Community Park. And so, yeah, we offer lots of ways to cool off this summer. Today's the first day of summer camp, so staff is geared up and welcoming all the campers this morning. We're at 84% full this summer, which is an amazing number for our team. We have over 6,000 campers that are registered across the parish, and there's over 30 different opportunities. There's still spaces left in some of the camp sessions for registration, and so if you're still looking for a spot to fill your child's day with summertime fun, and they cool off too with snowballs, water play, and everything else. So, yeah, lots of things to do this summer.
We got Katrina Ward with us talking a little bit about what's going on in the summertime. I want to go back to Liberty Lagoon if we could, Katrina, because there's, while admission's $12, there's also the option to rent a pavilion. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we actually started slow moving into the rentals of the pavilion for birthday parties and just if you wanted a secure spot during your visit at Liberty Lagoon. You can reserve those online as well. They do go fast. We have a brand new team of lifeguards and guest services crew out there, and they had their first birthday parties this weekend. And from what I've heard, it went seamlessly. Everybody had a good time.
Katrina Ward got her for 2 more minutes before we have to take our break. Moving over to the swimming pools, you got City Brooks Park and Annecy Jordan, but I don't want to overlook that swimming lessons being available at Howell Park. How do people take advantage of those?
And so you can go on our website, brec.org/aquatics. There is a link to register for the swim lessons. Today is our first session at Howell Community Park. It is for 2 weeks, and it's $5 a session. So it's $5 for 2 weeks worth of lessons. So that's 30-minute time frame. And they have opportunities for different age groups. So like 5 to 8-year-old, and then 9 to 12. And then what we saw last summer is a lot of middle-aged adults and adults as me that needs a refresh of learning to swim or learning to swim for the first time. And so there is adult sessions as well. But, yeah, they are filling up fast. Sessions open up 2 weeks before they start. So the next session is to start registering is today. It opens up today, for June 15th session. So if you're looking for swim lessons, you'd be able to go on and register for the June 15th session today at all 3 parks.
Before we get you out of here, I want to go back to Liberty Lagoon one more time. I'm told 922 people so far through the turnstiles. Give us the quick. That was just Saturday?
That was just Saturday. Yeah.
My word, that's a big number. But give us the website one more time to make sure that, folks aren't at capacity when they go out there. You don't want them waiting in line for no reason. Give us that website one more time.
Yeah, it's BREC.org/aquatics is the easiest way, and there's a link to Liberty Lagoon from there.
She is She is Katrina Ward, the Director of Recreation, BREC.org/aquatics. You'll get to Liberty Lagoon from there. Appreciate the time this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank you. We're going to check traffic. We're going to check your money now. The BREC Room continues next.
Now, a check on your drive from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center.
Morning backups. Not seeing much remaining on the board, either I-10 or I-12.
Now it's kind of where we kill all of them. .852 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. The BREC Room rolling right along. We got Janet Simmons. We got Maurice Velasquez. All right, it's time to pivot. We are on June 1st, which means later on this month, Baton Rouge goes back to the polling place, back to the ballots. We have another election on hand, and one of the items on this particular ballot will be the BREC millage, 3.96 mils. It is a renewal.
June 27th.
June 27th is election day. Let's start with this. What does the millage actually pay for?
It pays for maintenance. And that's something that we'd like everyone to recognize, or at least know, because it gets confused as to what this one's for. This is for maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, of course, should and want BREC to keep grass is mowed, service is open, parks open. That's what this millage is for, is so that we can keep the grass mowed, so we can keep parks open, keep services going. We can help to maintain not only the standard that we have now, but even just keep pushing it to make it better.
Okay.
So this is about taking
too.
operations.
It's just, maintenance and operations. So programming at the parks that we currently offer, those are paid for through this millage. And then any kind of, like if we have a problem with a property that's been vandalized or whatnot, we need to repair a bathroom that maybe some toilet's not working, that's what this pays for. All of that. Any damage to any properties that we have through any, hurricanes, we have that all the time.
Right.
Every time we have a big weather event, our team goes out and looks at all of our parks to see what's down. And that's the operations and maintenance part.
Like I said, it's a 10-year renewal of a 3.96 millage. Let's move over to this. What happens if it fails?
If it fails, we have to cut those things back.
Okay.
Less lawnmowers get put out there. Less services get offered. We have to then look at
less programming, closing parks. I mean, parks that are
decreasing
open.
hours.
Right. So, for example, our rec centers that are open now, we wouldn't be able to have them open as much because of the time, because that's what this millage pays for. So it's really an important millage.
No, I agree completely. And y'all know I say this all the time. BREC has to be all things to all people. So no matter what you're doing, you've got to cover something that appeals to me, right?
That's
and no
right.
matter who
That's
me
right.
is something that appeals to me.
Right.
So if you've got your recreational interest under BREC's umbrella, which check the website, you do. If you get your millage underneath BREC's umbrella, then you're probably going to, if this fails, you would lose services on that front.
So I had somebody ask me, if the BREC tax passes, would we not close parks like the surplus parks that we have?
Right.
That's completely separate from this.
We still have too many parks.
Right.
Okay.
And so if the tax passes, it's not going to increase what we're doing because there's no increase.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes total sense.
It allows us
to maintain what and we're trying to do that through being able to get rid of some of the surplus parks that we have and move forward. The same question was, if the tax passes, will City Brooks remain open? City Brooks is never going to be closed. That's another misnomer that people are thinking out there, that we're closing City Brooks, and we're not. And that's not an. That's not an
I didn't even know that was a part of the discussion.
That
Where
was
did that
another
come
question
from?
that somebody
recently, right? Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. I see. It's so many different questions that can just come out of left field. In fact, we're going to contribute to that, by the way.
We'd like to hear more.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, if you go to talk1073.com, one of the big flipper tabs on our homepage invites you to submit your questions to BREC. So as we're less than a month away from Election Day, BREC would like to sound off and respond. If you've got questions about it, where are dollars going, where are dollars maintained, what can we do, what can BREC do better? Submit your questions via the Talk 1073 app or go to talk1073.com. It'll link you back to it to put your questions in. And as I understand, y'all are open to all of them.
Absolutely. We need to. Because not knowing what the tax is about is what usually creates the confusion. We want to clarify all that.
Yeah. Look, as a fiscal conservative, I can't imagine a scenario where I wouldn't want to see y'all continue down a constant reevaluation process of what is the best use of the talk about closing parks or selling off land or whatever the case might be. That should be constant. That should be always what is the best use of our limited resources.
I think the mandate that we understand, not only from the people in Baton Rouge, but just the current sentiment, is people want, especially in East Baton Rouge, they want their government and government services to be streamlined. Very streamlined, very efficient, very productive. And so that doesn't negate the fact, though, that we need to take care of what's currently there. And we're committed to making everything at BREC extremely efficient, saving expenses, cutting costs, making things much better. But for now, we need to pay the bills. And so this is helping us keep those so that we can keep the parks open as everybody expects and needs for us to have.
Well, and there's been a national sentiment since roughly 2008.
Pretty much.
When the Tea Party first started popping up, where people just saw the word tax and said no. New tax, no. Renewal, no. Like, it didn't matter. They just saw the word tax and said no. And somewhere between then and now, we've lost sight of the fact that there's different levels of government. We see the waste, fraud, and misuse in D.C. Yes, that's national politics.
Right.
Statewide, you have a little bit more control. When you're talking about locally, you have direct control over your dollars. You have direct ROI on the benefits of the services that you're voting for.
Correct. Everybody wants better run government and better run services. We agree. Okay. If we pass this bill, we're committed to being efficient, effective, cutting expenses, and not creating a bloated employee agency. As a matter of fact, that's what we've gotten in trouble for in the last 8 months, because our change-aging approach has been to cut things that have been unnecessary.
Right.
We've done a RIF. We've done consolidation of departments. We really are very socially conservative, and we want to make sure that our government services are efficient and effective. So by passing this bill, this allows us not only to keep the lights on in all of our parks, but take care of the parks themselves. That does not negate, however, that the running of it will be an extremely tight oversight from really good, efficient principals.
So I have one more thing before we close, because I know we're in a tight schedule, but we have a couple of opportunities for people to come out and voice their concerns or ask questions.
Good.
One on Wednesday, it's Perkins Road Park. It's at 5:30. It's going to be right there at the park. That is talking about what we're going to be doing in that park. And then the second one is on June 11th. That is at the McKinley Alumni Center, also at 5:30. And that is where people can come and look at the different things that we're proposing for City Brooks Park.
And in the meanwhile, if you have questions, we've got them up, talk1073.com. If you're on the Talk 1073 mobile app, you'll find where to submit them. I would start with our website, talk1073.com. Janet, Maurice, thank you all so much, as
Thank
always.
you, Brian. Likewise, everybody. Thank you.
We'll be back at this next Monday. We'll be back at Mornings with Brian Haldane tomorrow, because we're just straight up out of time for today. Stick around, though. You got Moon Griffon coming your way from 9 till noon right here on Talk 1073 FM. So they're putting in a 15 to go along with it?
I don't think that spot was supposed to fire off.
I don't think so. I don't think the spot was supposed to